What's up everyone, it's Dusty Gogoat. Welcome back to my headcanon. There have been riddles and leaks for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Today, I think we finally have an answer for what the Generation 9 gimmick is going to be. Camtendo is joining us. Let's get right into it. Soul Silver Art has blessed us. This Twitter thread is massive and contains a ton of information. It starts out with this initial rumor. Scarlet and Violet's new gimmick could involve a new battle type switching mechanic with the possible addition of a third Pokemon type slot. Game Freak has already experimented with this mechanic in the past when Trick or Treat and Forest Curse moves were introduced. What do you think about all of this?
I think that if this does happen, it'll be really cool, but I kind of fear that Pokemon like Hawlucha and Delmise might become irrelevant because of this, since everybody will get the same treatment. But I'm willing to, if this is true, definitely willing to see how this will play out in competitive.
Yeah, it would be a little weird if some of these older Pokemon who had these honorary gimmicks were cast in the shadow, but maybe we see something different. Typically when a new type is introduced, there's a whole bunch of Pokemon that get retconned. Maybe we see something similar where like let's say there is a third type slot for some Pokemon. Maybe Delmise does get that extra steel typing, right? Or maybe it gets an extra water typing. Maybe they retcon it in that sense. But I think as we go further in this post, it's not so simple as a additional type. It actually seems, we'll get into this, it actually seems like this is going to be a temporary battle mechanic. Soul Silver Art writes, so who gave us this symbol, which most likely means the number 3. If we apply it to the Uncle Doc gimmick, this is the thing that we covered over on Cam's channel. I'll put a link to it right here. Info, it seems like it could mean gaining a temporary third typing in battle. This is still just an assumption, and most likely comes from what Uncle said about the FF job changing. I still don't fully get it. The FF jobs, because I've never played it, but from what I understand, you're one class and one job that can level up to or swap between a new class, kind of like
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Fire Emblem.
Yep.
So how could this apply? Well, there are multiple ways. If we are trusting and correctly deciphering Eclipse, then the most likely option is that there could be an item. Maybe it's a forbidden fruit, which could be oranges or grapes. That's where that would tie into. And that the Pokemon can eat in battle like berries. Maybe it causes the Pokemon to gain a new type while inflicting some kind of penalty.
I find it's really interesting, like the way they're describing it. They keep saying either a new type or a third type. I'm like leaning towards it mostly being a third type. What if it's a new type that's exclusive to this gimmick?
Maybe it's a new type that only applies in battle. That's actually kind of interesting. Kind of more like a status effect, right?
Yeah, like a status effect,
Yeah.
but it's like an entirely new typing.
So it would work. That's really cool, Cam. So like it would work like Trick or Treat, where you use the attack to add a third typing to the Pokemon, the opposing Pokemon, or maybe you apply it to yourself. But it's, instead of being Grass type or Ghost type, it's like a type that only exists within the battle, within this gimmick. That's cool. What kind of type would that even be? Light?
No clue. I'm just going based off of the fact that this symbol doesn't really match any of the other type symbols. If this is a type symbol, it doesn't match like any other previous symbols. So it could just be something brand new entirely, or it could just be again the gimmick symbol.
Yeah,
it could be both.
It could be. I mean, a lot of the types that get thrown around are like an artificial type. I've heard plastic type, artificial type. There's like a technology type. Yeah, sound, cosmic, space, alien. Like there's all sorts of types. Which one do you think? If it was one of those, or like I don't know, is there one that you would love to see, even if it's just one of these temporary typings?
I've been on the fence recently. I've taken the notion that we need a sound typing, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I think that sound typing would work since we have so many like we have so many sound-based moves and sound-based mons, like, you know, Exploud and Noivern and Whismur and like Chatot. Like we have a lot of cool sound-based mons, even like Rillaboom. Like we have a lot of the cool like sound mons, but no like actual type to go with that. So I feel like sound would be really cool because sound itself is an element, but not necessarily a Pokemon element.
Yeah, I'm thinking now. What was it?
I was just gonna say. So I feel like if sound type were to become a thing, I highly doubt it'll ever be a thing. But I feel like if it were to become a thing, that would be a really cool like new addition.
For sure. Yeah. Now I'm just going wild. So, like, think of the sound on emoji. It's usually a speaker with 3 lines that get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The 3 lines could be, I don't know, these 3 lines that they're mentioning, maybe that's a hint at sound type. Who knows?
Yeah, see, the thing about new typings is that, especially when it comes to like new evolutions and new typings, is like they can always incorporate that into the lore. Because when I was playing through Pokemon X, a lot of the NPCs were saying, "Hey, have you heard of Fairy type? This is a new." Of course, during 2013, they're like, "This is the new, recently discovered type." So they can, and like they make it seem like types are still something new, and like even though we have established types, they're always discovering new types, new evolutions, new evolutions. So they definitely set up the fact that they can introduce stuff as they progress. So a new typing, like people will say, we already have like an established lore. They love to retcon that, because when they added fairy type, a lot of the old mons that didn't have the fairy type got fairy type, like Clefairy and things like that.
I think it's interesting that, like, we keep seeing these oranges and grapes, and to me, it feels just so silly. Like, it feels so consequential. Like, a sword and a shield is exciting, right?
Yeah.
like I don't know, rays of light that feels powerful. I'm thinking of like the Sun and Moon Legends, or Death and Life, right, from X and Y. It's so like epic. And oranges and grapes seem so stupid, but
it seems like the stakes are just lower
yeah,
now. If it's about fruit.
Yeah, it's like, I had an apple this morning. Is that gonna summon a beast from the skies? But
That's third legendary.
yeah, but maybe there are a collection of different edible, or maybe they're fruit. They're types of they're types of fruit, and depending on which one you use, that correlates to the new type that the Pokemon gets. Maybe that's what we see. What Soul Silver writes right here is interesting. So I like this little bit right here. Soul Silver art continues and writes, I believe that this mechanic will be like Dynamax in that every Pokemon, fully evolved or not, can use it to gain an advantage in battle. I like that. I liked it a lot. That was my favorite part of Dynamax. There's always going to be a slight visual change with these types of gimmicks. So I think the Pokemon will get color auras around it based on its new type. Right now is Pokemon leak season. If you don't want to miss a single rumor or leak, hit that subscribe button. It's right there. You know what to do. A lot of the gimmicks that we've been given since Gen 6, they almost seem to all originate from, what is it called? It's Infinity Energy. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
Infinity Energy, which is explained in Oras. That seems to be the source of a lot of all of Pokemon's power, and to see it which is nice, because even though these are different, it's like the Infinity Energy, it is created or is utilized in different ways depending on these different gimmicks, and that helps a little bit. Even though these mechanics are only available in different games, it does help it all feel like one cohesive world. So I think this is a great example right here, and would very easily be a way for them to showcase a Pokemon getting a new type, right? You just give it an aura that corresponds with the type.
And I definitely believe that all the Pokemon will get this gimmick, because like I said in our last collab, I think we did.
Yeah.
With Mega Evolution, of course, the big issue is that only those mons were given the gimmick, so a lot of mons weren't treated equally. And with Z moves, like every mon can use a Z move, but they gave that exclusivity to certain mons, like the starters and like Como-O and the legendaries. They all got their own exclusive Z moves. Even with Dynamax, every Pokemon can Dynamax, but not every Pokemon can, like Gigantamax. So I feel like with this gimmick, like the Pokemon will be able to, become a new type, or a secondary or third type. But like certain mons might change form with this like new gimmick.
Yeah, my like wish list gimmick has always been like this, a Pokemon changing types almost. And I thought of it like, it's like, what if a shiny Pokemon, right? Like, what if a Black Charizard became like, I don't know, like Dragon type or Dark type, right? Just for example, right? Like whatever the color would correspond to. And then and maybe you could do this through breeding, where you could breed two Pokemon, like a Pikachu and a Vulpix. I always think of that for some reason. And then like the Pikachu becomes part fire type. This next point is so cool. And Kim, you might know more about this. I'm totally out of the loop when it comes to the anime. Ironically, we could be seeing this aura hinted at in the anime between Lucario and Ash. This is a recent Korokoro leak of that. The anime likes to hint at things from time to time. However, Lucario is literally known for using auras, so maybe there's nothing really to this. And that last point, this happens all the time. We get really excited for things that show up in the anime, but they end up just being like storytelling, things. But this makes a lot of sense. You can see that Lucario is in Mega form, and Ash is doing with Lucario what he used to do with the Ash Greninja. I think this is so sick.
Yeah, if I believe in the anime, Lucario is training with Ash's Greninja.
Really?
So they can get ready for the battle against Leon because Leon's like the big like goal for Ash this season, and he has a Mega Lucario, but they aren't exactly as strong as Ash and Greninja were. And if I remember correctly, in the anime, Ash's Greninja left him to go train on its own.
Okay.
So like Ash and Lucario are hunting Greninja down to train with him.
Jeez, that's cool, dude. I mean, is there any speculation you can do there, where like with this hint or with this rumor, like, do you think they're actually going to meet up with Greninja? Is like this makes me think now Pokemon Fusion could be a thing, right? Or it's like maybe the trainer selects like okay, this is what I'm thinking. Ash finally meets up with Greninja, and then essentially the Ash Greninja, what do you call it? That gimmick, right? Functionally it works as megas, but it is something different. It's essentially fusion, human Pokemon fusion. What if the human selects a type, and then when you fuse with the Pokemon, right? You could fuse with any Pokemon, and then like instead of getting a brand new form like Ash Greninja, it's just like trainer type plus the Pokemon. And maybe that
could be cool,
right? Like, because that was never explained. It was always its own gimmick. It was always just some random thing. And I think that could tie into what we're reading about right now, right? Like, it's just essentially you just give the Pokemon an aura. I don't know. And then maybe they demonstrate that by showing like Ash with Lucario, and then it gets a new type, and Ash would be electric type because of Pikachu, obviously.
Yeah, the thing in the anime is that, like, even I know you remember the Lucario movie. Like, the whole gimmick with Lucario is that they have to become one with their trainer to use their full power.
Okay.
So I think that's mostly what this is going to be about, just the two of them, like, becoming in tune with each other, and it gives like Lucario a boost. Cause like that was like the plot of the that Lucario movie with Mew and the Reggies.
Okay.
That was a really good movie.
I don't even. You said I should remember it. I don't even remember it. I don't think I've watched it.
I think that was like the 5th or 6th movie. It was a really good movie.
I think the last movie I watched was Entei, or it was the third movie.
I think the third movie was the Lugia movie. That one felt like a really long episode, but like I know the Entei movie with the Spell of the Unknown.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, that one's so good. If that is what you wish. Okay. All right, so we're moving on. Soul Silver writes, his question is, will the Pokemon be able to change into any type, or is there only one type assigned to each Pokemon or to a specific category of Pokemon? If you have an electric dragon with the gimmick, can it add any new type now, or can it only add one type? And then he says to remember this for later. I think this is, kind of what we're wondering. It's like, how would this even work? It's a cool idea, but how would it work?
Like, will this be their first time introducing triple typing to the mix through a gimmick? Like, that would be really, really like.
I would love that.
You see other series like Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon have like things like triple typing, but never Pokemon, because they seem to like have everything established with dual typings.
I think dual type is so. Pokemon is so customizable, right? With Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like you have the monsters are static, right? But with Pokemon, right, it's like every Pokemon is so customizable with its moveset and its stat distribution, ability, it's whatever, right? And I think I remember reading a thread. Someone did the math. They like actually figured out like how like not horrifying, but just how like ridiculous and chaotic a third or fourth type would be. Like a Caterpie could literally one-shot some stuff because of like if it gets a ×6 attack, right? Because
that would be absolutely crazy.
But I'm down. I think it's interesting. I think it'd be worth it. Would still be fun.
I was gonna say, if this is if this whole third typing thing is true, this will be the most complicated gimmick they would ever implement. Like with Z moves, it was like a essentially a fifth move that did a lot of damage or gave
Yeah,
a big stat boost. With Dynamax, it was like you gain like a whole new set of moves and you got like a few stat boosts. Of course, with Mega Evolution, it was a new evolution temporary. But with this, they'll have to like rework the entire battle system because
exactly. Yeah,
third typings, they'll have to like they'll like have to go behind all the mons and like add a like they'll have to like program them to have like essentially additional typing for all the typings and give them all like a new stat
yeah.
pool, not really stat pool, but like a whole like type effectiveness pool and stuff just for that one mon. If this is true, this is like really like in depth.
What we could see, I guess I'm thinking about Pokemon Legends Arceus and how that battle system was a lot quicker because it's like I think the algorithm, like the battle calculations were like different. So essentially, most moves just did a lot more damage and the battles moved a lot quicker, which made sense for that type of game because the battling's not even the best part of the game, right? At least not for me.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if that is true, if all the stuff is, if we do get a third type and it does make battling way more complicated, maybe they're simplifying it, right?
Because that will make like any battle like because most of the time battles can be pretty predictable. With this new mechanic, if this is the case, a lot of the battles will be completely unpredictable.
Yeah, you enter battle and it's like you can use this effect. Let's say it works like Dynamax where you can only do it with one Pokemon per battle.
Right.
Like you go into battle, all of a sudden, I don't know, like you send out your Charizard, and you give it Electric type, and now it's like what? But like if you're a different trainer, it's like you could pick any type. That's how I'm thinking of it. You could pick any type for any battle, for any Pokemon. That's fun. That's fun. That sounds really fun.
Like you send out a Zoroark against like
Yeah.
you send out a Zoroark against like say I'm trying to think of a random fairy type like a Clefairy, and like you think the Clefairy can win, but then the trainer uses like a Steel type. Like they changed Zoroark's like type to Steel, and he can like defeat fairy types now.
Yeah, or like what's something that's weak to fairy, like dragons. I'm thinking.
Yeah, like dragons or
Or
dragons and Dark.
yeah, or like you give Haxorus a fairy type, and now
Yeah.
it's immune to its one weakness, which is dragon. Or right, like that sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds a little chaotic, but it sounds a lot of fun. So maybe there will be some Pokemon that react differently to this whole mechanic and completely change forms to add that type to themselves, just like Gmax. This is what you were saying, Cam. Or maybe there won't be any form changes at all, which is an entirely different topic. I'll be writing a smaller thread about that soon. Okay, a little plug right there for Soul Silver Art. Go check out him on Twitter. He's gonna have a different thread about that. I think this makes sense. This lines up with the last two generation gimmicks where, like you said, Cam, Z moves. There were some that were special and made for specific Pokemon that they were promoting, and then same thing for Dynamax. So that makes sense.
Right.
And then Soul Silver writes, now since day one, people linked this type changing gimmick to the TCG, a specific deck or whatever called Delta Series. He talks like me. Like this anime thing or whatever, I don't want to get into it. Where the Pokemon can change type, and it seems to me that Game Freak actually pulled some other things in the TCG too. Yeah, so this is I got super into TCG again for the first time since I was a kid, and this was like 8 months ago, and I wish I had them right here on my desk. It's these Delta species cards that are essentially Pokemon, and this actually lines up. So the two arts that Soul Silver added was a red Gyarados, and
That's a fire type.
yeah, exactly. How cool is that, man? That's so cool. So the shiny Gyarados is red Gyarados, is fire, and then Garchomp, it's shiny, is still blue. So they made it water type. This isn't like specific. Like it doesn't need to. The Delta species cards don't always correspond to the shiny. There's Delta species Pokemon that are just different typed, just because.
You know what that reminds me of?
Different typed. Yeah.
You ever played the fan game or heard of the fan game Pokemon Insurgents? I think that's where the Delta Pokemon were pulled from. Just like in Pokemon Insurgents, they have like Delta species.
Those are different regionals, right?
Yeah, they're basically regionals before regionals became an actual thing. But
Cool.
like you could find like these Delta species, which were like Pokemon Pokemon that were essentially a separate type. But they can definitely, like, looking at these cards, if they can pull this off, this would be really fun.
So much fun. And it's like, this is a whole nother thing, but like, for me, not that shinies have lost their value. Like, their shinies are great because they're different colored. That's the joy, right?
Right.
But like now that shinies have become such a core part of the promotion of Pokemon, right? It's not like a secret thing anymore. It's like one of the main selling points of a Pokemon game now. It's like you can shiny hunt. I would love to see a second or third shiny form. Maybe it has higher odds, right? Maybe it's just a roll of the dice when you get the shiny. You could be one of 3, right? Because like I think of, and this kind of goes back to like what we're talking about with these different typings, right? Like in nature, like you can have a dog, the same breed, right? But it might have like I'm thinking of a black lab, or like a, right? Like it can be yellow, brown, or black, or some are even like white. So the next part of this thread, does this normal type symbol look familiar? You guys remember this from the TCG? Colorless. This is the colorless energy from the Pokemon TCG. One of the ones I remember is this rainbow colorless card, where I think this is in Spanish, but I think the way this works is essentially you can make this card, this energy card, any color. So you can make it fire, you can make it grass, you can make it water, etc. So it says, one of the biggest thing that the Uncle Info said is that the Pokemon Legends Arceus had hints to Gen 9, and I believe 3 things specifically point to the SV gimmick. One is Arceus's Legends plate. Very cool. That actually, that ties up perfectly, because that's Arceus's whole gimmick, right? Which, where does Arceus get its power? It gets it from infinity energy. So, change it into the type weakness of the opponent. You really just can see right here, like the SV symbol from the Japanese logo and the colorless energy, they line up perfectly. Am I crazy? They line up perfectly.
Yeah, it would be insane if like the gimmick that we're speculating about was there the entire time in the TCG.
Yeah. Oh, I think what they do is they go back and they like pull it. They go, this is great. We're gonna use this now, right? So number 2 was switching between strong and agile styles. So this could be related to swapping types and having penalties for the advantage. And then imagine we pay a penalty to become the opponent's type weakness. That's cool. I guess the way I've been thinking about it this whole time is that it's like it's set, but maybe you can choose right there and then.
The Z crystals.
Yeah, so like maybe you collect the Z crystals or whatever whatever they might be. Like I'm looking at the image of the crystal in the logo, and it has what looks like a Zelda rupee. Like maybe we collect those, right? And then so like let's say you have like 8 badges, or let's say 5 badges, you can only use like 50% or 60% of the like whatever stones you've collected, that's what you can use in battle when you use this battle mechanic. So and then
do you think that since it's an open world game, do you think that the stones will be hitting around the world like the mega crystals were back in X and Y? They were like completely separate from the gym badges. It was more like post game thing where you can just go around and find the mega crystals everywhere, or the mega stones. I mean, it can be like that.
Yeah, I kind of hope so. That actually, I think that's way more fun, and then it feels like a reward, right? When you get it, instead of a reward for doing the story, it's like, if it's open world, the magic of open world is being able to do stuff early. So like maybe you have to get like 1 badge just to get the ability to do that. But then like let's say if you've gone out of your way and fought strong Pokemon early on in the game, you could have been losing. Maybe you put in the work, got some stones early, and now you have an advantage for the beginning of the game. So I think that's a way better way to do it.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then the third is that many battles in Pokemon Legends Arceus were multiple Pokemon at once battling, and often 3-on-1 battles. You remember that?
girl that you got the Hisuian Braviary for she fought you with the Rhyperior,
Yeah,
Electivire, and Mac Mortar.
that was really such a
That
cool
was,
battle.
it was a cool battle. It was a really annoying battle. I kind of miss triples now since the battles in Legends Arceus kind of felt unfair.
Yeah, for sure. I kept thinking like, oh, I should be able to use like Surf and hit all four, or hit all three at once.
Yeah.
Um, so this next point, don't forget that Arceus is also a normal type Pokemon. There are many other theories I've heard that are totally possible. However, I believe that the content of this thread is the most likely scenario, and there's more. Eclipse further developed some thoughts concerning the gimmick recently. Let's pull this up. Okay. This one user writes, my theory for the gimmick has to do with light. Like the light we get from the sun kind of light. A special held item allows Pokemon to absorb ultraviolet and infrared light, or at least certain Pokemon. Those certain Pokemon get new forms. I'm also thinking that this could exist as a new type, temporary type. I'm less sold on this part, but every Pokemon can absorb light and gain it as a temporary third type. Some Pokemon are light types naturally. Again, I really doubt this. Also, this has nothing to do with fairy type. Very cool. I mean, that would, so I guess everyone goes to light type, but this is making it make sense, right? Like light isn't like electricity. Light isn't like goodness type or like angel type, but instead it's literally like the absorption of ultraviolet waves.
I think it's the literal absorption of ultraviolet because
Yeah, that's cool.
light and color are like everywhere.
Yeah.
Rather than darkness, which is kind of hard to come by, but like everywhere we go, there's light. So it makes sense that like it's everywhere within Pokemon and stuff, and it's like the one type, the one universal type that every Mon is regardless.
Jeez. So Eclipse writes, Eclipse wrote something. He wrote, it's there, always, everywhere, but we can't see it until now. And then the Gloomy Archer on Twitter writes, he kind of expands what Eclipse is talking about. Remember, I don't think Eclipse is an actual leaker. I really think Eclipse is just a fan. Maybe he's got some info, but I think he's less on the leaker side, more on the speculation side.
Right.
So the Gloomy Archer writes, expands on, it's there, always, everywhere, light, but we can't see it. We can't see ultraviolet or infrared light until now. Pokemon absorb some kind of light energy in the new gimmick, and we can't see it until the Pokemon absorb it and use it. Very cool
Yeah,
stuff.
this goes back. This goes back into what like I didn't even see that. I was just thinking like, what if the new mechanic is a type that every Pokemon is that they just couldn't normally use until this mechanic is introduced? Like it's like we did in Legends Arceus, the Legends plate or the blank plate. I think that's the normal plate, but like the
Yeah.
Legends plate, it allows them to turn into every type. And what if this is just a hidden temporary type that every Mon has at default, but they just never knew about until now?
Jeez. Yeah, I love that. It'd be easy for them to explain it as well.
I think Eclipse said that Eclipse said that someone in Soul Silver Art's comment section was close to the gimmick actually being figured out. But he didn't say who exactly. I saw this tweet earlier this morning.
Okay. Imagine if competitive Pokemon was played on triple battles, full team versus full team. Attention, I'm talking about triple battles, not rotation battles. Interesting.
I hope triple battles are back.
I know
I
that-
love triple battles so much.
They are cool. They are really cool. And it was such a problem for the hardware.
Yeah, I was really confused in Sword and Shield when triples didn't come back because they're like on much stronger hardware to where they can handle 3 Pokemon on a screen. I mean, I think the reason why it wasn't in Sword and Shield was because of Dynamax, like such a huge Pokemon on screen, kind of, and like 2 more Pokemon on screen. I think that would have took up too much. So now they can definitely do it since there's no like giant Mons anymore.
The Gloomy Archer writes, maybe you can borrow and replace a type from one of the other Pokemon in the triple battle. Soul Silver Art writes, ooh, yeah, that makes sense. Seems a bit too complicated, but still, this is kind of what we're saying. Like, this seems very complicated. This whole time I've been trying to figure out how this gimmick will help us play together with friends. Well, imagine you and 3 friends could battle against 3 other people. This is a callback to Legends Arceus and the 1v3, but then also the cooperation that Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee tried to incorporate, and then also with Dynamax Adventures, you could play was it 3 or you could play with 4 people, right? in Dynamax
Yeah, it was
Adventures?
4 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blaze Incineroar writes, triple combo mega move? Yes, that's what I would want. And then,
We'll be like, we'll pull off those crazy moves that Ash does during gym battles.
yeah, we're gonna have to like hold our Joy-Cons and actually do the Z moves and stuff.
It would be really funny. I remember that was like a big speculation with Pokemon Stars when that was like a huge thing back in 2017.
Yeah, that's another thing, Kim. Like, do you think we're ever gonna get like a third type ever again? Sorry, not a third type, a third version ever again? I can see sequels.
Nah, I can see sequels, but I don't see a third version. I feel like DLCs are here to stay now.
Yeah, and they're better off just either doing DLC or or just I don't know. They just seem so outdated. But yeah, that's like a Pokemon tradition, like guessing the third type. People still talk about like
yeah.
So Paul Ramsu writes, "What if we can combine moves?" He remembers in Black and White, there were a few moves that you could combine and get buffs. This is the what do you call it? The pledge moves. That was something.
Yeah, the pledge moves. Yeah. They would make a rainbow after you did it.
That's cool. And then I think since Gen 2, or at least Gen 3, there's always been like these subtle combination moves like Rain Dance plus Thunder, Hail plus Blizzard, stuff like that, right? Sunny Day, Solar Beam. That's always been a thing. So, and then continuing, it seems the gimmick might be some kind of multi-battle where you can take and swap to the type of the Pokemon beside you or the opponent's weakness, and maybe where your support Mons inflict themselves with a penalty to use. To think that 3v3 comes back is crazy. Kim, do you play Pokemon Masters? Because it's saying right here that Pokemon Masters is set up with 3 different trainers battling alongside each other to beat 3 other trainers.
Yeah, the way Masters works is that there's like a tournament going on, and the way the tournament works is that you have to play with 2 other people on your team, and those other people are the like trainers from past games like Red and Blue and N and stuff like that. And you can, of course, everybody has a signature move they do with their Pokemon. I don't think you can do combinations, but I do know that every person has like this signature move that kind of feels like a Z move essentially, because they all like you have to charge up the gauge, and then you fire off this like 5th super move that can cause, like if it's some like Mega Pokemon can Mega Evolve and Dynamax Pokemon can Dynamax or Gmax. It's like every character has like that one Mon that's tied to the gimmick of their generation, except for like Gens 1 through 5. They confirmed that Iris is Leon and Hop's cousin. From
really?
There's like a hidden dialogue in the game where you go to her and she
really?
mentions Leon and
from Black and White.
Yeah, and she says, have you heard of my cousin Leon?
No way.
That's and cool. There's also dialogue where Lance says that somebody brings up Gyarados to him, and they mention outside Dragon type, and he mentions that not all Dragon Pokemon are Dragon type specifically. He said Gyarados is a Dragon, but not a Dragon type.
It's like not all fish Pokemon are Water type. So this next part is really cool. It's Eclipse posted this. He said, "Hey guys, do any of you have this Sneasel card?" Soul Silver brings up that he might be talking about the move Beat Up, which is something that Sneasel, I think it was Sneasel, signature move in Gen 2. Or it's like a multi-hit move that hits as many times as you have Pokemon in your party. So essentially, like, again, this whole cooperation thing, depending on what you have in your party, depending on maybe what you have on the battlefield, determines what the move's damage is.
I know we talk about Eclipse not being that credible, but if he has like more layers to it than Ku did in our the video on my channel.
So this next part is pretty interesting. I haven't actually taken a close look to this. It says, bottom line, I could be wrong about which comment Eclipse was referencing. This all may not be accurate info. Speaking of which, I still can't shake that there's some kind of Mega Z move Gmax hybrid. Is this implying a new way to Mega Evolve? Mega Eggs, which is something that is actually in Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go historically is always like broken lore, and then somehow the Pokemon Go lore has been tied back into the main series. But Mega
like
Eggs
Miltank.
is so or pretty much just any Pokemon being able to have hatched from an egg, which I guess we kind of have seen.
Yeah.
We've kind of seen that with like how like Snorlax can hatch from an egg, but also Munchlax can also hatch from an egg.
That still confuses the mess out of me. How does that work in the wild? Like,
Yeah,
I know it's a thing trainers have to do, but like lore wise, how would that work in the wild? Because we
yeah,
find Munchlax in Legends Arceus, so how are they born?
yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe they spend more time in the egg.
Probably.
I don't know, man. It's all a little wonky to me, but or maybe at the very least there may be some old Mega and Z moves returning alongside the new gimmick. Just look at the similarities here. There's so many hints to them both. It also makes perfect sense if I didn't know how much work would go into randomly adding these features. Crying emoji, and I'm with you, Soul Silver. There's so many things that we would want to put in a Pokemon game, but it's really hard to do. I would think it's hard to incorporate all of this stuff, right? I think when we thought of Sword and Shield, because in Gen 6 we had Megas, in Gen 7 we had Megas and Z moves. I think all of us expected in Gen 8 we'd have both Megas,
All three.
Z moves, and G Max moves. Maybe, I mean, there was all these technical problems with with Gen 8 and implementing these different things. We ended up getting games for all of these different things. But maybe Gen 9 is truly the full experience. I mean, this is the open world game. I think they're trying to make an impact. Maybe they bring it all together, right?
I think the thing about Dynamax is that lore-wise, it's tied to Galar only. Unless they pull some lore where Eternatus shows up in this Gen 9 region, he also has the Dynamax spots, they were called.
Yeah.
Because you can only Dynamax inside of places where Eternatus was, especially like the gyms and Pokemon League and stuff like that, and at Mustard's place.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are like only specific places you could do it at.
I mean,
So
they
unless
could.
there's, huh? I was going to say unless there's places on the map they made Eternatus able to like go to before we caught him in Sword and Shield.
Yeah. I would think that they could retcon and just make one spot. Like, it doesn't, like, I don't need all these mechanics all at once. Like throughout the entire game. But what I would like is like post game, right? Like they could easily say like, we built the Elite Four, wherever it is. We built this on a hotspot. It happens to be that there's a hotspot because there's so much energy, and then that allows you to do all these other things as well, right?
Yeah, because if you remember correctly, in the DLC of Sword and Shield, they made the Crown Tundra a hotspot for Ultra Beast to spawn.
Yeah.
Because before that, the only hotspot for Ultra Beast was Alola, and now it's Alola and the Crown Tundra.
Yeah.
That's like our excuse to get Ultra Beast in Sword and Shield. So they can definitely pull that off if they want to.
Dude, you're absolutely right. And then, I mean, when we were talking about Ultraviolet Rays and Necrozma, I was thinking also, I'm like, who's to say they don't actually come back and give us more Ultra Beasts? Because Ultra Beasts are its own, they're not legendaries. It's its own
they're like their own. Yeah,
Exactly.
they're their own separate category.
Yeah,
But
so-
people still put them with legendaries since they're so
Yeah.
different, but they aren't.
Like, I would only think that eventually they would bring back, they'd reference back, to the Ultra Beasts. Maybe we get a couple new forms, or a couple new, Pokemon altogether. Yeah. I was hoping a lot of legendaries got retconned, but that never happened.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't like. I don't want them to just forget about Ultra Beast since that was like 2 generations ago. I want them to keep that hype going and giving us new weird like Ultra Beast designs because they look so funny because they're weird looking.
Yeah.
So I really hope they keep that.
Like, I always thought like Dialga and Palkia should have been retconned. Like a lot of the Sinnoh legendaries should have been retconned as Ultra Beasts. And then, I mean, because you look at the what do they call it? Primal forms of those Pokemon in Legends Arceus.
Their origin forms.
Yeah, the origin forms.
Like Giratina.
Yeah, and they look horrendous. They don't look like human. They don't look like they should be on planet Earth. They look like they should be Ultra Beast. You know what I'm saying?
If I remember the reasoning behind that is because they said that Dialga and Palkia are trying to look like Arceus, and because of that they look so awful.
Yeah.
They said that they're trying to replicate his power and his design.
They're not doing a very good job.
Yeah, they look really bad.
So, Kim, do you have any final thoughts on this type gimmick? I think this theory is great. I mean, if everything here is pointing, like if we have the right evidence and we're looking at the right stuff and this is all real, I mean, that gets me really excited. I think this has a lot of potential.
For me personally, I'm really curious now that they brought the whole TCG thing into the mix. I feel like that in itself has enough established like things to it to where that itself can be the mechanic with the whole giving a new type and that Pokemon changing type. Like it's been there the entire time, and I feel like with the blank, what did you call it? The blank type from the CCG or the blank
The colorless type.
yeah, colorless type. I feel like colorless, that in itself seems like such a cool mechanic, like something that's always been there, but like we've just discovered it in this region.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's in it. Yeah, they both help each other out. It's like, why does this exist in the TCG? This isn't in the games. Well, it's always been a thing in the games. There just hasn't been a game that's focused on this mechanic in this region.
Yeah, especially with the whole ultraviolet rays, ultraviolet and infrared on the spectrum, and like in between those is an entire rainbow that they can just pull from, and just that the legendaries are on the opposite side of that spectrum.
Yeah,
that'll be really cool.
Yeah, 100%, man. This is the coolest thing. Well, thanks for joining me. If you're still enjoying this episode, if you're still watching, go check out Cam's channel. I'll leave a link at the in the description. You can check out the other conversation that we had over on his channel. Let him know where you're at.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Camtendo64, and also I have my YouTube channel, of course, which is just Camtendo. And again, we did a video over on my channel if you guys want to check that out. I think it's going to be linked down below. You said it's going to be linked down below, but yeah, it's going to be linked down below.
Thanks so much, Cam. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck hunting.